Alright, so the second phase banner of Arlecchino Zhongli is finally confirmed. Interestingly, we did manage to get 2 out of 3 4-star character being predicted correctly, so that is kind of nice, but we'll be touching on the 4-star in a bit. But as usual, we're going to go through everything about the banner because I know that many of you are still going to be interested in the 5-star that are coming up, and also discussing about the future potential banners as well, so that to help you make the overall best decision on the second phase. Nefer, as well as so many other amazing Not Cry character, is going to be coming soon, and I know that many of you are trying to get them, so if you're planning to swipe for pooling, then don't forget to check out U7Buy. If you know me, I always recommend you guys the best deals for your Genshin top-ups, and with a U7Buy you can save up to a 25% on all of your top-ups. With a 4.7 rating and over 40,000 positive reviews on Trustpilot, you can be sure U7Buy is trustworthy. Here you can see me doing a top-up where I'll be getting 2 Welkins with a great discount. You just basically need your Genshin UID and server, then voila, your order will be processed instantly. Check out my link in the description and type in my code SUPRA to save an additional 3%, which is a great way to save your money, especially when you're topping up a large amount. Alright, for Arlecchino, still an absolutely solid pyro DPS character, though of course in terms of pure power level, she is still slightly a bit behind Mavuika if you really want, the top of the meta. Arlecchino, again, it is a much of a preference character at this point because we do have so many pyro DPS character. Her gameplay though is definitely unique with all the Bond of Life mechanic and not being able to heal by your teammate apart from herself. So in terms of gameplay wise, she is a character that will take a bit more time to master, and also her rotation and team building as well. Though her team build isn't as restrictive as Mavuika, but overall there is the downside of you having to manage her HPs as well, so you don't potentially get one-shotted by some of the endgame bosses. But as I've mentioned, if you haven't got Arlecchino, just thinking about her at the C0 level, she is pretty much a preference character. I still personally like Arlecchino a lot, and I actually use Arlecchino quite a lot more than my Mavuika specifically. But yes, if you're into the meta, obviously Mavuika is still going to be better than her. That being said, there are still many of you who would like to actually invest more into Arlecchino actually, and especially her constellation wise is quite valuable, as still her C1 and C2 is some of the better value constellation out there in the game in terms of DPS wise. So honestly, if you really are into Arlecchino, I don't think there's much of a problem, as she is still a very much powerful character. Now for Zhongli, honestly, unless he gets some kind of buff in the future, hopefully there will be some kind of geo buff especially toward him, it is very hard to recommend him in the meta. And even if you're casually using Zhongli, the only time you would really want to have him on your team is when you're constantly getting one-shotted by boss in Genshin, and that is not too much of a case either. So basically the only reason you want to pull for Zhongli is because you like him as an Archon. He's still very cool, but honestly it's almost a no use case for him at the current point. For even though he can use the Tenacity artifact set and also have access to Resistant Shred within his kit, there's just so many other very good supportive character in the game that you'll be using, and you only have 4 character in a team build, and that's pretty much better off save for another character in terms of investment wise. But yeah, if you are someone who's still really liking Zhongli, it's not as if he doesn't have his values. He can still be used on most of the team comps and he will still be able to provide you values. It's just that we're looking in terms of the opportunity cost of you investing into Zhongli versus you investing into other really good character, like Shilonen, very specific supportive character like Silali, Escoffier, right, Lauma. Those kind of character are generally a lot more valuable. If you're still deciding to go ahead and pull or invest more into Zhongli, I really do wish you good luck. Which is where we're going to be looking into the 4-star character on the banner. Honestly, I'd say all 3 of the 4-star are generally pretty decent. It's been such a long time since we've seen Yunjin, so it's kind of nice to see her. Yes, Yunjin can be on Arlecchino team in terms of buffing normal attacks, so that's nice. Morpho Constellation is also good. All the way up to C6 Yunjin is quite valuable. Though honestly speaking, in terms of meta wise, we don't usually see much of a Yunjin gene usage, unless you're kind of like lacking in supportive character. But still, she is going to be the best value character on this banner. And then yeah, there's Lanyan, a new 4-star character that I'm sure many of us don't have access to yet. Though Lanyan, I think it's an okay character. If you really do want to use her, she can fit in many of the team comps. She is quite flexible and also is an anemo character. But overall, those kind of cases are rather niche, and she's still going to be more of a preference character in a user's case. Now Rosaria, I haven't seen her for a very long time, but still she has access to those kind of a bit of crit rate buff, which is quite rare of a skill for a character. Still a very decent off-field cryo applicator for your team if you are lacking in those kind of supportive character. But other than that, if you're more into kind of like a physical team comp, which we haven't seen any kind of buff to a physical yet, but maybe in the future they potentially kind of like a physical buff, and that's where Rosaria can shine even brighter. Or whenever we hit Snezhnaya, where cryo character gets even more buff than Rosaria, it's still would be quite valuable. So her overall value is good. Her constellation is pretty decent also, which is why, as I mentioned, the 3-4-star character on this banner isn't too bad if you do decide to pull on this banner. Which is where it leads us to the weapon banner itself. Now a bit of an unfortunate weapon banner because it's right next to the Vortex Vanquisher, one of the worst 5-star in the game. Though it's not as if the Vortex is too bad, but honestly, most of the time you'd rather have either crit rate or crit damage weapon being used on your DPS character. But it could have been worse. So if you're trying to go for Arlecchino weapon, which obviously is great value on her, yeah, if you're trying to invest more into Arlecchino herself, generally trying to get her weapon first before trying for her constellation is kind of recommended. But while on the upside though, the 4-star on this banner isn't actually too bad. You have the Sack Fragment and the Dragon's Bane, which is one of the very old 4-star weapon series up until this point already, but they will still hold up for any of the character that will have access to it. Fontaine limited weapon series, yeah, the Dog Hand, still one of the best HP sword out there that you can potentially have. The portable saw, which is the Claymore itself, is a little bit more niche with HP being the secondary stat, so very limited number of characters can make use of it. Most likely only going to be Dia that she's going to be using most of the time. That's if you do have it. And then the bow is okay, it does have attack secondary stat, and the passive is quite easily utilized. So at least the 4-star on the banner is decent, but overall still not the best weapon banner out there, though I still wish you good luck if you do try to go for Arlecchino weapon. And that's where it leads us to usually the most important part of a discussion on these type of video, and that's going to be the future banner or the Lunar 3rd banner. Now we know it's a confirmation that Durin is going to be coming. There's going to be Jahoda as well, though Jahoda is a 4-star character and she's not like a must pull for most of us, so that's not too important. And I've been discussing quite a lot toward the Durin's value. He has been changing in terms of buff and nerf here and there quite a lot, so his value isn't too guaranteed yet, but he is still shaping up to be a really nice and unique character in terms of magic character wise supportive. But still, at the current point, his value depends a lot on your specific account, and I don't really have time to go very much in depth into that right here. So yes, you can still check out my other in-depth Durin video after this, but every patch obviously comes along with the reruns. And as of now, it is being predicted to be Veressa, Shilonen, and Venti. Now Venti would most likely to be insured because Durin is a character that works alongside with Venti really well, and also Venti is one of the few characters that is also getting his kit updated or buffed within Lunar 3rd, so that's kind of nice. But I still don't think that Venti is as valuable as he needs to be, so yeah, his overall value isn't too much of an importance. And then there's Veressa, while pretty much still a preference character again because she is a DPS character, but she is one of the better electro DPS character out there in the game. So if you are interested in that and you like Veressa character design, maybe you can think about investing into her. But honestly, it is very much a preference, and there is potentially going to be a lot more future Not Cry characters that are interesting coming down the line, so you have to think about it. Though the most important character is definitely going to be Xilonen. Way too good of a character to pass by, especially when Natlin DPS character relies on her a lot, and they are still very powerful where you have Mavuika specifically. But that doesn't mean that Xilonen only works on the Natlin teams, right? She can work on most of the team comps and she can be amazing. Not to mention, if you already have Xilonen, you're planning to invest more into her, you know, like a C2 Xilonen level, she's going to be very powerful on your account for a very long time. So those are definitely a consideration. As you know, the second phase right here only have Arlecchino and Zhongli, mostly preference wise character, so that is going to be a thing to think about. Not to mention, after Lunar Third is most likely going to be Columbina. So wow, there's going to be a lot more discussion after the live stream of Lunar Third that is going to be coming this week. So guys, I think that's everything I have to say about the second phase banner at the current point. If you do have any questions though, leave it down in the comment section and I or some other lovely Genshin player will get to you there. If you're new to the channel guys, don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin videos. With that, I wish you a super day and I'll catch you on my next video.